is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Wisconsin.
It is matinee baseball here in Denver, Colorado. Game 3. The Milwaukee Brewers and Colorado Rockies, and the Brewers road trip concludes here today, and they are in desperate need of a victory. They are trying to avoid being swept away by the Rockies, who have dominated Milwaukee in the first 2 games, especially from the opening frame. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but I'm Craig Kushon alongside Jerry Augustine as our Brewers broadcast continues here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Nori Aoki is going to be responsible for kickstarting this Brewer offense. No Ryan Braun in the lineup today, but Aoki's done a very nice job in his rookie campaign, and he's gotten on base and tried to set the table a few times in this series.
Well, you have to like what he's done so far with the Florida Brewers Ball Club. Last night he had 3 hits, the 5th of the season. He's hitting .350 on this road trip. And one thing about Nori, he's had a 13 and a 15 game hitting streak. When you talk about your leadoff guy, you talk about a guy getting on base, and that's exactly what Nori has done.
Well, the highest batting average for National Leaguers among rookies. We have 2 right here going to be competing each other in today's lineup. Pacheco and Aoki have done nice jobs for their ball club. So, as I mentioned, no Ryan Braun, so the Brewers may have to play a little small ball and get some good pitching today. And it's a first today for Mark Rogers. He'll make his first start as a dad. BA and Rock tell you about the adjustments he may need to make here in Denver.
Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, because when friends come together, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Toyota, when you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
Beautiful part of the country here in Denver, Colorado. We are headed home after this one today, back to Miller Park. But Business at hand this afternoon, and Mark Rogers, he is back. He's making his fourth start this year, has an 0-1 record, pitched very well his last time out. Mark Rogers, a brand new papa, and the first start as a daddy. There is Guillermo Moscoso. He's up from the minor leagues. He gets to start today, a spot start for Jim Tracy's Colorado Rockies. And we welcome you back from Coors Field in Denver. Great to have you with us today. The Brewers trying to salvage this final game of this three-game series before they start a homestand tomorrow in Rockets. Mark Rogers on the mound. He's been very impressive in his three starts, especially his last start, but he just had a baby yesterday. He's a brand new father, so let's talk about Mark Rogers and what kind of mental state he'll be in today.
What better time to go on a road trip, right, with the baby back? But you never know. I mean, you never know how this is going to go. It's been a whirlwind couple of days for Mark Rogers, having a baby on Monday, flying back here to Denver yesterday, and certainly out of his routine. And pitchers are certainly creatures of habit. But when you look at his last start, if you go back to that one, that was perhaps his best outing as a pro, and he did a nice job against the Houston Astros. Unfortunately, got a no decision, but very impressive numbers. He's able to throw strikes, good fastball, and a good breaking pitch going 7 innings, and certainly you hope he's going to be able to match that.
Looking for his first career win today against the Rockies. The final game of the series, Brewers-Rockies, Game 3, coming up next, Fox Sports Wisconsin. Rapids kayaking, and a little baseball, Major League Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin. The Brewers and the Colorado Rockies. There you see Ron Renicky, second-year skipper of the Brewers, trying to get this thing turned around. It has been a struggle away from Miller Park. Brewers are returning to Miller Park tomorrow, starting a 4-game series with the Phillies, and trying to salvage the final game of this series with the Rockies and make it a 2-4 road trip through Houston and Denver. Piggly Wiggly batting order for Renicky today. No Ryan Braun in the batting order. He is out. Just rest for Ryan Braun. So it's Aoki, Gomez, and Weeks at the top with Aramis Ramirez, Corey Hart, and Jonathan Lucroy in the middle of the order. And then Renicky has Nigel Morgan, Gene Segura, and Mark Rogers rounding it out. And they will face Guillermo Moscoso. Has not had a start in the major leagues. Going back to May 4th, he last pitched for the Rockies on June 30th. Drew Pomeranz was the scheduled starter today, Rock, but they pushed him back to Sunday now, and a spot start today for Guillermo Moscoso. who had some pretty rough numbers down in AAA to go along with some pretty rough numbers here in the big leagues this year for Colorado.
Yeah, he was 1-3 down in AAA, before the call-up with a .791 earned run average. That was in 4 starts. His numbers at the big league level, not very good. He made 2 starts early in the season, but most of the time he's been working out of the bullpen. And you see his numbers, 11 walks, 31 strikeouts. They say he's got a very good fastball. The Brewers have not seen Guillermo Moscoso yet, so this will be a first for them. His breaking pitches and changeup are very inconsistent, so we'll see how he does it here today.
And defensively behind Moscoso, Carlos Gonzalez, Dexter Fowler, and Eric Young. Around the infield, some changes. You got Pacheco at third, Herrera and Nelson up the middle with Tyler Colvin at first. And Ramon Hernandez does the catching, making his first start of the series. Colorado has been impressive in the first 2 games. They have put up a lot of offense. Scored 9 runs on 15 hits on Monday night. And then last night, 8 runs on 15 hits. And despite a late comeback for the Brewers, they actually had the go-ahead run at the plate twice in the 9th inning last night. The Rockies hung on to win by an 8-6 final score. So that sets the stage for the final game of this series. Corey Blazer will call the balls and strikes. Mike DeMiro, C.B. Bugner, and Wally Bell on the bases. A 7-game homestand begins tomorrow at Miller Park. The Phillies for 4, then the Cubs for 3. And remember, the Brewers started this road trip having swept the Cincinnati Reds at Miller Park. They won 3 in a row and had very high hopes starting this road trip. Maybe they could fight their way back and have some success and start to have some hope.
And the way you do that is get on the board early, and for Mark Rogers to keep the Colorado Rockies scoreless in the first inning. The Rockies have put up big numbers in the first inning in this series.
Colorado has scored 7 runs combined in the first 2 games in the first inning. 3 on Monday night. They scored 4 in the first last night. So we're set for baseball here in Denver. Beautiful ballpark. Downtown setting. Nori Aoki leads off. And Moscoso's first pitch is in there for a strike, and away we go. Nori Aoki came to the ballpark today with a rally hat. Sporting a cowboy hat today that was given to him as a gift in Houston. And I have to say, he wore it pretty well.
Yeah, perfect. Ed Cedar bought it for Nori in Houston, gave it to him before the game. Last game of that series, and he came out of the hotel looking pretty sweet in that cowboy hat. He pulled it off nicely.
Yes, he did. Little bouncer to first, and Aoki is retired. Anything to change it up. He said he'd probably never wear the hat, but after the Brewers lost the first 2 games, he thought he'd go for the rally hat version of it.
I hope he didn't tell Eddie that.
No, he didn't. It was more of a showpiece. Welcome to Texas kind of thing.
Right.
So Carlos Gomez back in the 2-hole. He's been hitting down at the bottom of the order, and he's having some success. He's had a big series here in Colorado. Powerball home run number 11 for Carlos Gomez.
He had 5 hits so far in the first 2 games.
Tries to push his way on with a bunt. Now Gomez, that home run coming on Monday night. And with Ryan Braun out of the lineup today, Ricky Weeks moves into the 3-hole. Gomez back in the 2-hole, where he's spent significant time this season. Braun still leads the team and the league in home runs. Corey Hart with 22 for the year, and now Ramos Ramirez narrowly missed number 16 last night. Now, Ron Renicky said before the game that he has never seen Ryan Braun struggle like this in his year plus as the Brewers skipper, and Braun rarely goes through this kind of struggle at the plate and lack of run support. Has just 1 home run in the month of August and was the final out last night. He was at the plate representing the go-ahead run. So a day off for Braun. He is available to pinch hit.
Yeah, it's not so much that he's swinging at a lot of bad pitches. It's the fact that he's not hitting the pitches that he should be hitting. He got a number of pitches in last night's ball game that you would think that he would drive into the gap, hit out of the ballpark, fouling back, swing and miss. And so because of that, Ron Renicky decides to give him today off.
0-2 on Gomez. Down he goes. Chases one as Moscoso picks up his first strikeout.
Yeah, Moscoso will strike out some batters. He's got a pretty live fastball. It moves pretty well. That one out of the strike zone. He had a pretty good season with the A's last year. 21 starts with Oakland and a .338 earned run average, and had an 8-10 record. But his numbers in the minor leagues and the big leagues this year have not been very good.
Moscoso came to the Rockies in a trade involving Seth Smith, who was traded from Colorado to Oakland. Smith's having a pretty decent year for the A's. They're hanging in the pennant race in the American League West. Weeks right off the end of the bat. That's going to fall, a base hit. So a little flare that falls for Ricky Weeks. Might have broken his bat. But a base runner for Aramis Ramirez.
Right, the second time that Ricky has hit in the number 3 hole this year. Ron Renicke's philosophy, you get Ron out of the lineup. You put one guy in the 3rd hole and have everybody else hit where they normally do, so you don't disrupt everything in the lineup. Ricky able to get a base hit first time up.
And just to finish off the Braun thought, and where he is at the plate right now, has just 1 home run in 50 at-bats in the month of August. As Ramirez is hit by a pitch. High and tight, Aramis Ramirez drilled. And the Brewers with 2 on here with 2 outs in the first inning.
Yeah, that one not even close. Look out. I mean, fastball up and in, and a glancing blow off of Ramirez's hand, or his arm, I should say. And pretty close to that wrist.
And he's been dealing with an injured wrist. You see the wrap that's on it, the protective wrap. He's been able to hit through the injury, though. No team in the big leagues hit more often than the Milwaukee Brewers, the 66th.
It's not even close. That's the 7th time that Ramirez has been plunked.
So 2 on with Corey Hart at the plate. Hart with 22 homers, 57 driven in. And gets a chance to drive in some first inning runs here today. The Brewers would love to return the favor to the Rockies after a lot of early success by Colorado in the early innings. They scored 8 runs against Mike Fiers in 2+ innings on Monday. Randy Wolf gave up 4 runs in the first inning yesterday. Been playing from a deep hole in the first 2 games of the series, but interestingly enough, the Brewers have been able to make games of them twice. They got within 3 runs on Monday night and came within 2 last night.
Man, doing it mainly with against the Rockies bullpen. We've been talking the first 2 games, pitch counts for this starting rotation in Colorado. Once those guys are out, it seems like the Brewers have been able to put together some offense.
2 balls, no strikes on Hart. 2 on with 2 away. And that one misses. 3-0.
Man, don't be surprised to see Corey swinging 3-0 here. Ron Renicke might want to put a 3 spot on the board for real quick, give him an opportunity to hit one out of here on a 3-0 count.
Hart takes ball 4. And just like that, the Brewers have loaded the bases. And a flare hit by Weeks. Ramirez hit by a pitch, and now a walk. And Moscoso in early trouble here. There are 2 away. But one of the best run producers with 2 outs the Brewers have, Jonathan Lucroy, steps in. Martin Maldonado started yesterday behind the plate, had a home run in yesterday's game, but Lucroy was part of that rally in the 9th. And a pinch hit, RBI single. And he's got a chance to put the Brewers on the board here today as he takes strike 1.
Well, Lucroy working the count in yesterday's ball game, hitting a pretty good pitch into left field to drive in a run. As I mentioned, the Brewers had the go-ahead run at home plate last night in the 9th inning.
See the numbers on Lucroy, despite missing 2 months of the season with a broken hand. And he's down 0-2. Batting average hovering around 250 since he returned. When he was injured, he was hitting 345. Still one of the best in the league with runners in scoring position. He's hitting 449. Even better with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, believe it or not.
And one of the reasons he goes to right field extremely well, waits on the baseball.
No balls, 2 strikes. And Lucroy takes one down and in. Moscoso trying to work that inside corner. Those are the numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. 542 batting average. Softball numbers. When the pitcher is supposed to be at his best. Lucroy gets jammed. A fly ball to Young. And Moscoso will get through it. The Brewers failed to score, but some early stressful pitches for Moscoso. Mark Rogers on the mound. We head to the bottom of the first. For baseball, 90-degree day. But, an isolated shower or 2 in the forecast, but right now we're looking good. Here's how the Rockies will line up today against Mark Rogers. Eric Young, Tyler Colvin, and Dexter Fowler at the top. Carlos Gonzalez, Ramon Hernandez, Jordan Pacheco in the middle of the order, and Jim Tracy has Chris Nelson, Jonathan Herrera, and Guillermo Moscoso rounding it out. The Piggly Wiggly Rockies batting order against Mark Rogers.
Well, you got to figure that Rogers is feeling a sense of relief. I would imagine kind of stressful waiting for that daughter to be born. He had the baby on Monday and flew here to Denver yesterday, and here he is making start number 4. His best as a Brewer came his last time out against Houston. 7 innings, 8 punch-outs. He walked 2 in a no decision.
So beware of the weary sometimes. We'll see how Rogers goes today. It'll be Morgan, Gomez, and Aoki in the outfield. No Ryan Braun today. Ramirez, Segura, Weeks, and Hart around the horn with Lucroy doing the catching. Brewers defense brought to you by Menards. Eric Young Jr. will lead off. He has been a tough out at the top of that batting order in this series. 2 hits on Monday, had 3 yesterday.
And he started both games of this series with doubles in the first inning. Jump starting the offense, and he's done a good job of that this year. Good numbers.
Young had a 2-run home run in yesterday's game, one of his 3 hits. But he is really swinging the bat well. This was yesterday against Randy Wolf and how his day began. Started with a double, his 7th double of the season. And then he's not a very big guy, but he hit him where the big boys hit him yesterday, and he knew it was gone when it left the bat.
Yep, 3rd home run, and he hit it like trickling out of that batter's box like he hits 40 a year.
Just his 3rd homer and his 13th RBI of the season. And he draws the walk. Mark Rogers is going to be an interesting study today. And I think, Rock, you made a good point. You know, the process leading up to the delivery of the child, very stressful, especially when it's your first, which it was for Mark Rogers. But baby healthy, mom is healthy, but still you have to feel like he's a little bit out of his routine on the baseball sense, and obviously it's been a whirlwind couple of days for him, and he's making his first start as a father.
Probably wasn't thinking too much about baseball the last couple of days. And you don't blame him.
Tyler Colvin in the 2-hole today for Colorado.
And one of the things that Rogers was not able to do is to sit in that dugout and watch each and every one of these Rockies hit first 2 games of the series, get a sense of what they're doing. So he's going to rely heavily on Jonathan Lucroy today.
Well, just a short little trip from Arizona to Colorado. Rogers has the kind of stuff that plays well here at Coors Field. He does use a big curveball, and that's a big pitch for him, but that's not all that he has. Most importantly, he has the big fastball that tops out at 98 miles an hour, and that's always an equalizer in this ballpark with the altitude. It is a hitter-friendly ballpark. But Brewers pitching has not fared well. The 2 starters, Randy Wolf and Mike Fiers, have been roughed up. Wolf gave up 6 runs in 5 innings yesterday. Mike Fiers could not get an out in the 3rd inning. Just 2+ and 8 earned runs on Monday. And starting pitching really hasn't been the problem for the Brewers. That's been the least of Ron Renicke's worries until this series.
Well, you figure that at some point, you know, every aspect of the game is going to go, you know, not like you want it to go. And the starting pitching's been so good. These guys are due for a rough stretch. The rest of the guys got to pick them up.
There's a strike to Colvin, 2-1 now.
And the offense just about able to do it a couple of nights in a row, just falling short. When you come into Colorado, you're figuring on you're going to need some runs to win a game. You know, Brewers have been stacking up some runs, but as we mentioned, most of the runs have come late in the game after they've been down very quickly.
See if Young is on the move here at first. A 2-1 count to Colvin. Jim Tracy likes that left-handed bat in the 2-hole for this exact reason. Shields the catcher. He can't get a good look over at the base runner. And that's the throwing side for a catcher, that left-handed batter. And Young is a base stealer.
And you get that big hole between first and second. Left-handed hitter pull a ground ball in the right field. Big lead. Able to get the outfield side of the bag and making that tag a bit longer.
Young has 13 steals. He's been on base quite a bit here in the last couple of weeks. Looks like he wants to run. Stays put, and Colvin bounces to Hart. He spins, fires to second for 1. That's all they'll get. Segura had to come across the bag to make that play. It looked like for a moment if Young doesn't slide, that ball might have hit him. Let's check it out.
Yeah, tough for a base runner to recognize that as he runs away from Corey Hart. And that ball right over the left shoulder. And a good job by Segura to keep his eye on it and tag the bag.
Wow.
Look out.
Barely missed him. Segura was wanting that baseball in front of the bag at second, but it sailed on Hart a little bit. They get the lead out at second base, the first out for Mark Rogers. Fowler into left, caught by Nyjer Morgan. That ball was scalded by Dexter Fowler.
Had him played perfectly. Playing a little bit more shallow than normal, and Nyjer Morgan able to get a good jump on it and catch it about waist high.
Well, the Brewers have plenty of speed in their outfield today, and that's what you need in this big ballpark. Nyjer Morgan makes a nice catch, and 2 men are out now. Carlos Gonzalez, what a series he's had. Came home from a road trip, a 6-game road trip where he was hitless in 16 at-bats. Hasn't showed any of those struggles in this series. Yesterday was 4 for 4. He's the second Rocky to have a 4-hit game in this series. DJ LeMahieu did it on Monday. Gonzalez, 4 hits. He drove in 2 runs, scored a run, raised his batting average to .321, which is among the league leaders in the National League.
Man, he's on everything. Covers the outside corner, able to get to the pitch inside, and just a very good all-around player. Not much he can't do. He and Ryan Braun, you know, 2 guys that can do just about anything out there, defensively and offensively. Both of them can run, hit for power, batting average.
Well, Gonzalez currently 6th in the league in batting. He is 3rd in the league in RBIs. Drove in 2 yesterday to give him 78 for the season. Got a big cut. 1-2 the count.
And a good fastball, 95 in on his hands. That's a good pitch. To Carlos Gonzalez, you better get it upstairs and you better get it in. And Rogers was able to do it. Look at this pitch. Talk about challenging a pretty good hitter. And got it in on his hands.
Carlos Gonzalez, the only All-Star for the Rockies this year. And he's put up the big numbers in the absence of some of their big sluggers. Troy Tulowitzki on the disabled list. Tulowitzki has not been available all that often this year for Jim Tracy. He's played in just 47 games. He's out with an injury to the groin. He had surgery. Is due back by September. No Todd Helton, out with hip surgery, and Michael Kadire is out as well. We saw this club in spring training, Rock, and it looked like a pretty good ball club. A formidable offense. You didn't know how they were going to pitch, but they had some big names and some power up and down their lineup. And the anchor of that lineup was Tulowitzki and Gonzalez.
It's always been the story with the Rockies, though. It's all about their pitching. Their pitching has been very bad this year, along with the defense. Not 2 things you don't want to have, you know, at the bottom of the league.
Full count, runner goes. Gonzalez lines one into left center. Gomez able to cut it off, and that will save a run as Carlos Gonzalez rips one to center field, a base hit. And with the runner on the move, if Gomez does not cut that off in center field, that is an easy RBI for Gonzalez.
Another fastball after Rogers tried to get Gonzalez on a couple of breaking pitches. Gonzalez watched him go by, didn't bite on pitches out of the zone. Came back with a fastball, and he stings it into center field. One thing Rogers did a very good job of in his last start against Houston, the breaking pitch. Got some strikeouts with it, was able to flip it up there early in the count for strikes.
Well, Carlos Gonzalez turned around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And now Rogers with runners at the corners for Ramon Hernandez. Hernandez, the former Cincinnati Red, had some big league time with Oakland, Baltimore Orioles. Had a pretty good run with the Reds. He and Ryan Hannigan split time the last couple of years in Cincinnati. In his first year as a Rocky, and has given a lot of playing time away to the young rookie catcher Willeen Rosario, who homered yesterday and is one of the top power hitting rookies in the National League.
Yeah, that kick can hit. I mean, good opposite field power. Ramon Hernandez, far and away the better of the 2 defensively, but that Rosario can swing the bat.
There's Willeen Rosario, a day off today. That one's lined into center field, a base hit. And the Rockies score again in the first inning. Every game of this series, they've played it a run. It's a 2-out RBI single for Ramon Hernandez, and the Rockies lead 1-0.
And just like the first 2 games of the series, fastballs and not very good fastball location. Yeah, middle in, and Ramon Hernandez able to pull that in and shoot it into center field. Rockies have not missed many fastballs in this entire series. The problem for the Brewers pitching staff is that they have not been able to throw their breaking pitches for strikes.
Two on, two away. Jordan Pacheco, rookie infielder at the plate. He's been a good hitter for Colorado this year. Pacheco was in the starting lineup last night, played first base, and was 2 for 3. Didn't see him on Monday night, had a day off. Gets the start at third base here this afternoon. Takes a strike, 1-1.
Just got to keep throwing it, and he's able to catch the strike zone with that pitch. Another off-speed pitch from Mark Rogers.
Pacheco is second in the National League in batting average among rookies. And a couple of Brewers on that list. Nori Aoki hitting a .290. And Martin Maldonado. Matt Carpenter of the St. Louis Cardinals tops the list. Not on this list. I guess the at-bat. He's fallen off the at-bat qualifications as of today. Pacheco hitting .309.
Another guy that has pretty good opposite field pop. Got a double right inside the first baseline last night in the first inning.
And a hitter's count, 3-1 with 2 on. Right down the heart for strike 2. Two-seam fastball.
You see, the grip on that fastball. None of the fingers on the laces. Get a little bit of downward movement on it, and hopefully get the ground ball with a pitch like that.
Full count. The runners will be on the move. There they go, and Pacheco draws the walk, and the inning continues. And now the Rockies load the bases. Brewers had them loaded with 2 outs in the first. Could not score. The Rockies have 1 in now. And here comes Rick Kranitz to have a chat with Mark Rogers.
Yeah, third time that Lucroy's been out there in this first inning. He's trying to settle Rogers down a little bit, find a release point. A little erratic with his control. You can understand early on. Well, he's one pitch from getting out of this inning without any run scoring with that Gonzalez 2-strike single to drive in a run. I should say to extend the inning. Just not been able to come up with that put-away pitch.
So early trouble once again. This has been a familiar theme for the Brewers starting pitchers in this series. Here's Chris Nelson, a .265 hitter. Nelson starting at second base today. He's had a couple of starts at third base in this series. A lot of moving parts for Jim Tracy around his infield. He's able to mix and match. Got a lot of young players here. Helton and Tulowitzki out of the lineup, so it does create some playing time, and whoever's got the hot hand with the bat usually finds his way in the lineup. It's a good problem to have for Jim Tracy, but right now everybody's got a hot hand at the plate. 30 hits for the Rockies in the last 2 games. Mark Rogers grinding out a long first inning. 1 run in, bases loaded, 2 outs. And the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes on Nelson.
Yep, and he's approaching 30 pitches for this first inning. He's at 27 right now.
Coors Field has never been a friendly place for Milwaukee. They are 20 games under 500 lifetime. at this venue. 17 and 37 all time at Coors Field. A ball and 2 strikes.
Just can't find that pitch, can he? Kind of a lonely feeling for a guy out on that mound when you can't throw a breaking pitch for a strike. The hitters know it. Everybody knows it. And at some point you got to groove the fastball, and these guys have been all over it.
Lucroy sets up away. And a 2-2. Fastball bounced toward the hole. It is through for a base hit. And this is going to bring in 2 runs. Got a run down between first and second. Oh, this has got disaster written all over it. Good. Now a run down between home and third. And this inning is over. Wow, what an ugly finish to the inning. The Rockies had 2 more on the base hit by Nelson, and it's a 3-run first for the Colorado Rockies.
Colorado, and a very interesting end to the bottom of the first inning. Ground ball. It looked as though both guys would be able to get it. Segura stops. Nigel Morgan wants to throw to third base. Pacheco's on his way there. Ramirez wasn't at the bag. Brewers finally in a rundown. They were able to extend the rundown. Finally, Ricky Weeks throws it into Lucroy, who ultimately ends up getting it out, throwing it into Aramis Ramirez. So that's going to be a 7-4 to 3-4 to 2-5 put out to end the inning.
Well, the Rockies running themselves out of an inning. They scored 3, but certainly were in position for a whole lot more.
It's like a zip code. 7-4, 3-4, 2-5. You're not going to see that many throws in a successful rundown very often. Had 2 guys in a rundown at the same time.
Nigel Morgan leads off in this second inning. Now the Colorado Rockies in 3 games in this series scored 10 first inning runs.
A lot went wrong on that play. And Gene Segura, it looked as though he stopped. He stopped once he thought Ramirez, after he dove, he thought Ramirez was going to get it. Segura stopped. I think if he keeps going, at least he's going to be able to knock it down and keep a run from scoring. He stopped, ball went into left field, and nobody at third base.
Yeah, Ramirez stayed on the ground after the dive. And the Brewers fortunate to get out of that inning. Because otherwise you're looking at 2 runners on with Herrera coming up and a chance to add to it. But more first inning damage for the Rockies. And Morgan strikes out. Out number 1 here in the second.
Come out to Miller Park as the Brewers host the Chicago Cubs August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets, call 902-4000 or visit brewers.com.
So here's Segura. Got a modest hitting streak going right now, 5 games in a row. Back-to-back games of multiple hits in Houston on the Saturday and Sunday. Segura bounces to short. Herrera. A high throw, close play. Segura is out by an eyelash at first base. 2 gone in the inning. Well, he is so fast, Segura. He's fun to watch.
You love his hustle. He hits the ball every time he hits it. He is busting it down that line. He's got a couple of infield hits already.
Mark Rogers, his first trip to the plate. Looking for his first hit of the season. He's 0 for 5. Well, hoping Rogers could avoid the first inning trouble, but not the case. Rockies are coming up big offensively. That was a pretty good pitch by Rogers, too. Actually, looked like it was going to be a ball or headed to the dirt even.
He picked it right off the dirt. You're right.
Slapped it right through the hole between third and short. And that's the way the series has gone. The Rockies swinging the bats well. They've had a lot of hard hit balls, but they have a very aggressive approach at the plate. They are ready to swing, and they've done big damage.
That breaking ball right down the middle, and Mark Rogers had a pretty good hack at it. And that's the pitch that has given Moscoso a lot of problems this year. Off-speed pitches.
Ball and 2 strikes on Rogers. A hockey player growing up, very accomplished hockey player, as a matter of fact. Handles the bat fairly well. Yeah, Rogers fouls that one away. Had a good cut. I want to send our best out to Mark's wife, Carrie. Baby girl, Elliot. Elliot Bay. His dad gets back to work today. And a base hit to right center. That's going to shoot the gap, and it's going to go to the track. Rogers with his first hit of the season. It's a double. A 2-out double by the Brewer pitcher.
That was able to get a piece of a low fastball, and Mark Rogers his first career double. Looked pretty good in that at bat. A 4-seam fastball right down the middle and slicing it out there in the gap. And we talked about this last night. The grass cut very low. That ball just skips right off of that grass into the gap, and Rogers able to get into scoring position. That was a 7-pitch at bat for Mark Rogers.
Well, now the Brewers with more 2-out damage. They loaded the bases with 2 outs in the first inning. And now a 2-out double. Nori Aoki back to the top of the order. See if Milwaukee can cash in this time around. Aoki had his 13-game hitting streak snapped 2 days ago on Monday, but restarted one yesterday. Had 3 hits in yesterday's game. 3 for 5, 2 runs batted in. He was part of that 9th inning rally as well. And comes into play today hitting .290. A 3-time batting champion in Japan. And it was just 2 years ago he hit .358. to lead his league, the Central League, playing for the Yakult Swallows.
Been a nice surprise this year. Good success against left-handed pitching. He's done a nice job getting on base. On base percentage over .350.
And he has embraced American culture. He has enjoyed his time here, and he signed a 2-year deal, so he'll be back next season. Got a great family. They're all in Milwaukee with him. There's a strike to Aoki. Every time I see Nori and his family, they're always all smiles.
It looks like Moscoso got a break on a call right there. It looked like it was off the plate.
Game today being broadcast in Japan on NHK. Aoki, such a big star there. A lot of interest in how he's doing this season. There's ball 4. Aoki draws the walk. And 2 men are on with 2 outs for Carlos Gomez.
2 walks, 2 hits for the Brewers. Moscoso, now at 35 pitches through the first 2 innings. So he's had a tough time of it.
Gomez looking for the quick strike with 2 outs. Has 11 home runs this year. He homered here on Monday night. And he hits that one hard but foul. Pulls it into the seats. Ron Renicky making a lineup change with Gomez and Ricky Weeks, putting Gomez down near the bottom of the order, hitting 6th or 7th, and moving Weeks into the 2-hole. But with Braun out of the lineup today, Gomez returns, and he's responded well, hitting down at the bottom of the order. He's had a nice series here against Colorado. Gomez on this road trip is 6 for 21 and has 5 hits in this series. He's 5 for 9. In the air, left center field. Fowler with his sunglasses on makes the catch, and the Brewers strand 2 more. They've left 5 on the first 2 innings. 3-0 Rockies. Three runs in the first for the Rockies. We head to the bottom of the second. Colorado up 3-0. And a reminder, we invite you to join Buckstar Brandon Jennings for basketball instruction at the 3rd annual Brandon Jennings basketball camp at Homestead High School. That's Saturday and Sunday this week. For more information and to register, visit foxsportswisconsin.com. Click on the upcoming events banner. Rockies coming up in the home second, and it'll be Jonathan Herrera to start it. Mark Rogers giving up 3 runs on 3 hits in the first inning. The big news breaking in Major League Baseball today. Ken Rosenthal, the first to report, and it has now been confirmed by the Giants that Melky Cabrera suspended for 50 games. He tested positive for testosterone. And Melky Cabrera has come out publicly now and has accepted these suspensions, said he took something he shouldn't have. Now the Giants have 45 games left in their season, so he's going to be out. He could return the 6th game of the postseason if the Giants make it. But you wonder what kind of baseball shape he'll be in.
Boy, what a blow to the Giants, huh? They're tied with the Dodgers coming in for the top of the division. Boy, that's going to put a damper on their hopes.
So Melky Cabrera, who's having a great year, suspended today. Giants went out and made a deal at the trade deadline for Hunter Pence, trying to bolster their offense. No team has scored more runs per game than the Giants since the All-Star break, averaging over 5 runs a game. A team that wasn't hitting much in the first half. And they lose a big bat here today.
And Jay Bruce with a walk-off home run last night. I was very familiar with the success of Jay Bruce hitting the long ball.
Cabrera will start that suspension immediately. He leaves with the 2nd highest batting average in the National League, behind Andrew McCutchen. And you see the Giants there hooked up in a tight one with the Dodgers. They got a great pennant race going on in the West. Herrera gets a little jam shot over to Corey Hart for the first out.
Good job by Mark Rogers that time. He's able to get the fastball in on the hands of Herrera, up and in. Pulls the hands in, actually got it down on the end of the bat, and an easy out to Corey Hart. Let's see if Mark Rogers can settle down and start throwing some strikes with that breaking pitch, just like he did against the Astros.
Guillermo Moscoso, the Rockies pitcher, at the plate. Moscoso has stranded 5 base runners in the first 2 innings. Unfortunately for the Brewers, all 5 of those base runners reached with 2 outs in innings. And Moscoso has been able to wiggle off the hook on each occasion. A spot starter today, Moscoso, called up from AAA Colorado Springs.
And certainly his success down in the minor leagues is not the reason why they brought him up. I think it's his experience as a starter. He had a pretty good year last year with the A's. Made 21 starts. He had an earned run average down in AAA, almost 8. Not sure how many back-to-back scoreless innings he was able to throw down in the minor leagues like he's got here today.
Moscoso, 16 starts down in AAA. He made a name for himself last year in the first half with the Athletics. Was among league leaders in ERA through the first half in 2011. As he dribbles one over to Corey Hart, who hits Rogers on the run for the 2nd out. 2 outs. Top of the order coming up. Time now for our Carsoup.com email the booth question. Ryan in Milwaukee wants to know, how does a pitcher work on his mechanics? A little different for a starting pitcher than it is a reliever. That's something they're always aware of between starts.
You got to do it in the bullpen. You can't think about your mechanics out on the mound when you're in the game. All you have to think about is the catcher's mitt and throwing the ball where he puts his glove. And it's just like a hitter worrying about his mechanics at the plate. The only thing you worry about is the baseball as it comes at you. That's what those side sessions are for.
Eric Young into left field, pretty well hit. That ball's traveling, and it is gone. An opposite field home run for Eric Young. 4-0 Colorado as Young homers in consecutive games and goes oppo this time.
A fastball tailing away from Eric Young Jr. He goes right with it, a line drive, and able to get over that wall out there and left. Nice job by that gentleman out there saving his wife. Had a glove out there, and well, the Brewers now find themselves down 4-0.
Fourth home run of the year for Young. He's hit 2 in the last 2 games. As Colvin pops this one up, that'll head to the seats.
That ball was heading right for that woman there, and that guy stuck his glove out. He didn't catch it, but he saved his wife or whoever it was from a bruise. Well done, sir.
And a nice fan out there gives him the baseball. That's the way to do it. Oh, and 2 on Colvin. Eric Young has been a nemesis hitter for the Brewers in this series. A walk and a home run today. Set a career high yesterday with 7 total bases. Colvin strikes out. Rogers, pretty good finish on the breaking ball there, and Colvin is retired. The first strikeout for Mark Rogers, but not before E.Y. Jr. goes deep. 4-0 Rockies. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Ho-Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, your ticket to more. And by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. Nature all around us. Don't you feel healthier, Rock, after 3 days in Denver?
I do, but did you see that kid just sitting there in the path? Those ladies forgot the kid.
They're just trying to get him in shape, trying to get the kid on his feet.
Ma'am, your son's back there.
Ricky Weeks leads off here in the 3rd inning, 4-0. If you missed it, this is what Rock's talking about. There's the little youngster.
You see him?
He'll catch up. He's kind of meandering there by himself. He just had to have a sit down for a minute. See, when you're that young, Rock, your bathroom is wherever you're standing at that particular moment.
Is that what was going on there?
You know what I'm saying?
Is that what's going on?
You just need a little privacy.
You know, good for him.
Good to see a bunch of kids out here today. Beautiful day here in Denver. They've had a very hot summer here as Weeks bounces back to Moscoso, and there is the first out. Well, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the playoff push getting into full swing. The Pirates and the Cardinals in a showdown this weekend. Both teams in playoff contention. Fox Saturday Baseball begins at 2:30 p.m. Central, only on Fox. Brewers will have the Phillies in town this weekend. A 4-game series starting tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Pitching matchups are in place for the Phillies and the Brewers as Ramirez hammers one to center field. Fowler going back. Backpedaling now. He's got it for the out. Hit it a long way, did Ramirez, but the wrong part of the ballpark. 2 outs.
Yep, the fastball, the 2-seamer that stayed up in the strike zone. A good pitch for Ramirez. Hit it hard, a little bit down on the end of the bat. He knew right away that he didn't get enough of it. And right in front of the wall, Dexter Fowler able to haul it in. Just missed it.
The National League leader in doubles, Ramirez, 0 for 1 today. There's Corey Hart now. There's a strike. If you're thinking about joining us at Miller Park and you're big into the pitching matchups, Brewers are going to have Estrada against Cliff Lee tomorrow night. Gallardo against Vance Worley on Friday. Mike Fiers against Cole Hamels on Saturday. That's a good one. Fiers and Hamels Saturday night, and then Randy Wolf and Kyle Kendrick on Sunday. So Cliff Lee tomorrow night for the Brew Crew. Unbelievably, Lee is only 2-7 this year, despite pitching fairly well. He's got a 3.87 ERA.
Yeah, Brewers had him beating Philly. Late comeback for Milwaukee, I should say, for the Phillies, and got Lee off the hook.
That's where things went wrong for the Brewers in Philadelphia. Part of that 7-game road trip. The Brewers conservatively could have won 5 out of 7 on that road trip, but they were 0-7. A lot of late leads that they let get away as Hart strikes out, and Moscoso is dealing, making the most of his chance in the big leagues in a spot start. 3 scoreless innings against the Brewers.
Another fast start for the Rockies. Colorado has scored 10 first-inning runs in the 3 games in this series. Three 2-out base hits gave the Rockies a 3-0 lead in the first, and then Eric Young Jr. hitting his 2nd home run of the series, his 4th of the year, and it's 4-0 Colorado.
Well, they all have their own seat today. It's good enough for a rally right there. But the Polish and the Brat missing 3 in the middle there. A lot of Brewers fans here in Denver. It's been great to see him around town. This is a beautiful setting, downtown setting. always encourage you, if you like to travel with the Brewers, you like to pick up a road trip, this is a great spot. A lot of restaurants and bars downtown, and the ballpark situated here, hotels, so easy to get around. Mark Rogers back on the mound trying to settle things down. 4 runs in already for Colorado. 4 runs on 4 hits. Milwaukee digging themselves a deep hole once again. That has been the story in every game in this series.
It's just amazing how different this team plays and how they're able to finish games at home and on the road. Brewers have a winning record at home this year. There's 7 games over 500. Check that, 6 games over 500, and they were 19 and 37 on the road. An incredible split.
It feels a lot like the 2010 season. The home road discrepancy. No real answers for it. Talk to the coaching staff and the players. Just hard to explain as Rogers strikes out Fowler. Second strikeout for Mark Rogers, and now back-to-back Ks. Want to invite you to register now for the 2013 Brewers Fantasy Camp next February as we salute Team Streak, the 87 Brewers. He can relive the 13-0 start, Paul Molitor's hitting streak, then the Evans no-hitter. It's an all-inclusive package, includes uniform, airfare, hotel, daily games, coached by Brewers players from 1987. All at the beautiful Maryville Baseball Complex in Phoenix, Arizona. Just go to brewers.com/fantasycamp. Saw Greg Brock here yesterday. Has he been secured as a fantasy camp coach?
Absolutely. First baseman for the Brewers in '87. Rob Deere's locked down. Jim Gantner, Juan Nieves. I am in negotiations with B.J. Surhoff. I tell you, I was talking to Greg Brock last night. He gave me a great idea. You know who the other catcher was? You know, around that time was Charlie O'Brien.
Yeah,
was a catcher, a third wheel in that for a while. Surhoff, myself, and Charlie O'Brien.
Carried 3 catchers on that team. Huh?
Well, not all year. There was a portion of the year that the 3 of us were there, but still in all, I think Charlie would be a good addition. They called him the dirt farmer back in the days.
Can you tell us why?
Well, if you knew Charlie and you knew the kind of things that he liked to do, you would not have to ask that question. But you know, Charlie O'Brien was the first guy to wear those new style hockey, catcher's masks.
Yep.
He was the first guy. He was a Toronto Blue Jay, and they kind of copied the hockey mask. Not that one. That's the conventional one.
I remember that. Brought a little style to the catcher's equipment, including that mask. You know, that I remember his helmet was airbrushed a little bit, had the airbrush. And, yeah, you see those still to this day. That would be a nice fantasy camp story for Charlie to tell. So good luck with that, Rock.
I'm trying to get him. We'll see.
Carlos Gonzalez lifts one in the air, foul territory. This will stay playable, and Ramirez puts it away for the second out. That's a big bat to retire. It's been a tough out for the Brewer pitching staff this week. Carlos Gonzalez.
And Rogers able to get in on his hands and ate him up inside and got the easy pop out to third base. He's got a good live arm. And you can understand early struggles for Rogers today. All that he's been through in the last few days.
Ramon Hernandez with 2 away.
That's a good slider. You see the way he has the grip on it. Rotation out of his hand, and that was a perfect pitch right on the outside corner.
Rogers, like every other pitcher for the Brewers, has struggled finding the curveball, but you know, we talked about Rogers being a good matchup in this ballpark with his stuff because he can go to that slider.
Yeah, the bigger the break at this altitude, the less chance you have of being able to locate it. We saw that with Fires and Randy Wolf in back-to-back days. So you might as well keep that curveball in your back pocket when you come to this ballpark.
Ball and 2 strikes on Hernandez. And a good fastball. Hits the bag, but right to Hart. He'll take it himself. And a 1-2-3 inning for Mark Rogers. He needed that one. 4-0 Colorado. The Brewers coming up. We head to the 4th. Game series in Denver, and Ron Renick's club trying to salvage this final game. AT&T Trivia, who was the Brewers manager when they last won a series in Colorado. Well, it's not going to be Ron Renick, you know that, or it could be. It's not going to be this year, Ron Renick, I should say.
Well, they split a series last year, so
that's right. 2-2, I remember, here in Colorado, right?
Right.
That was the first series after the All-Star break, and it was at that point, after the Brewers lost the first 2 games after the break, the low ebb of the season, the Brew Crew took off en route to a 96-win campaign and a division title. And it all turned around right here in Denver, Colorado. Lucroy leads off for Milwaukee. And he muscles one out to the shortstop Herrera. Easy play for the first out.
Every Friday, high school and college students can purchase select tickets for half price, courtesy of Time Warner Cable. Some restrictions apply. Visit brewers.com/students. School's coming up. When schools start in Wisconsin? I'm out of that loop these days.
End of August for some, and for everybody else, first week of September.
So a couple of weeks left for the kids.
Got September 4th on my calendar. It's a big day.
Circled in red. Independence Day.
That's right. For the parents anyway, right?
That's right.
It's too bad you got to go back to school and be gone for 8 hours a day. Little flare, Morgan, foul territory, that falls. Say hello to all of our teachers watching, doing a great job and teaching the youth of Wisconsin. A lot of Brewers fans through the schools, all the teachers and coaches, and gearing up for their school year. That can be a tough time of year when you're trying to get ready and get your classrooms put back together. You know, we're thinking about you. And you might as well come out to Miller Park and enjoy a little baseball before you get back to school.
And Friday would be a good day for that. Save some money.
Morgan bounces out. Nice play by Moscoso. And he is now retired 6 in a row.
You know, my father was a high school principal for many, many years. Fortunately for me, it wasn't the same school that I went to. That'd have been a drag.
Yeah.
Fields his position pretty well. A little bit down on the end of the bat.
Fortunate for you or fortunate for your dad?
Both. I was a model student. Didn't cause trouble. I wasn't really a great student, but I wasn't a troublemaker. Very often.
Team player. Just kept quiet. Sat back in the corner. I doubt that.
Wouldn't say that.
Segura in the hole. Herrera jump throw. No chance to get Segura. And an infield hit for Gene Segura. Another base hit. Extends his hitting streak to 6 in a row now.
Yeah, he gets down that line so well. I mean, when a shortstop has to move maybe 4 or 5 steps either way, no way he's going to be able to make a play on him. I mean, a good throw by Herrera, but just not able to get enough on it. He is out of that box in a hurry when he sniffs base hit. Kicks it into an extra gear.
Now, the more I see Segura, the more I agree with the comparison to a young Juan Samuel. He looks a lot like him. He started, then stopped. Throw to first. Segura just back. Looked like he got a great jump, but he must have lost footing there briefly because he stopped immediately.
You got to be careful stealing with a pitcher up with 2 outs. You get thrown out, then you have the pitcher leading off the next inning. You better make sure you can make it.
Segura's been a big base stealer in the minor leagues. Rogers in the hole off the glove of Pacheco. Herrera recovers, but no out. As Mark Rogers with his second hit. And again, the Brewers putting runners on with 2 away.
Yeah, bringing up the top of the order now with 2 outs and nobody on. A couple of infield hits. 8 and 9 hitters able to get on base. And left a split-fingered fastball up in the strike zone, and Rogers able to just get it out of the reach of Pacheco at third. And no play for Herrera.
2 on, 2 away. The Brewers have had 7 base runners in this game, and they have all reached with 2 outs. Stranded the bases loaded in the first, left 2 on in the second, and now 2 on with 2 away here in the fourth. Top of the order, Nori Aoki. Aoki walked in the second inning. Coming off a 3-hit game yesterday. Brewers need a big hit, trying to break through on a struggling pitcher. Struggling in the big leagues, struggling in the minor leagues. But called up today from Colorado Springs to make a spot start for Drew Pomeranz, who is going to be pushed back until Sunday. Bouncing ball off the glove of Colvin, recovers in time for the out. And the Brewers leave 2 more. 7 left on for Milwaukee.
for. Let's check in with the crew in the community. Join Brewers Community Foundation and Forest County Potawatomi Foundation for an exclusive evening with Hall of Famer Hank Aaron. Wednesday, August 29th at Nice Stadium Club in Miller Park. The evening includes a photo session with Mr. Aaron, silent auction, sit-down dinner, and autographed Hank Aaron Sports Illustrated cover. The evening will be topped off with an interview featuring Mr. Aaron and hosted by Bob Costas. All proceeds from the event benefit the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream Foundation. This event typically sells out, so if you're interested, make sure you email Meredith Malone at brewers.com immediately. Brian?
All right, thanks a lot, Telly. And those two will be on hand for the Bob Uecker statue unveiling ceremony as well, a couple of days after that. Bob Costas will be the master of ceremonies. They got a who's who coming to Milwaukee at the end of the month. Looking forward to all of those activities at the end of this month of August. Not a whole lot to cheer about for Brewers fans this week in Denver. But a lot of baseball to be played yet. 4-0, Colorado has the lead. Mark Rogers, a 1-2-3 inning, third inning, picking up his second strikeout, and now back to work facing Jordan Pacheco to lead off. Pacheco, Nelson, and Herrera, the switch hitter. 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup against Mark Rogers. Rogers giving up 3 runs in the first. And all 3 runs scoring with 2 outs. First ball swinging, Pacheco, out number 1. Got some baseball going on today. Day baseball in the big leagues. The Giants and the Washington Nationals headliner pitching matchup. Steven Strasburg against Tim Lincecum this afternoon at AT&T Park. Nationals have a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second. But the big news out of San Francisco today, Melky Cabrera, their best hitter this year and the All-Star Game MVP, testing positive for testosterone and suspended 50 games.
Yeah, you can only imagine what the attitude and the climate in that Giants clubhouse has to be today. Puts a little bit more pressure on Hunter Pence, who they picked up right before the trading deadline. Let you figure the Giants have the pitching to continue to contend. No doubt about that.
Well, the Giants have 45 games remaining. If the Giants make the postseason, the suspension would carry over to the postseason. So Cabrera would not be available to the Giants until Game 6 of the postseason. There's a shot, foul, just foul. Past the bag at third. I guess my question would be, Rock, and when you serve a suspension, you do have the opportunity to get yourself back into playing shape, but the minor league season ends at the end of this month.
Right.
And so there will be no minor league season. Instructional league, I don't think, is underway at that point. So there might be a problem.
I think it starts around October. First of October, around that time, once the Major League season's over.
There's no baseball to be played to come back. So if you're Cabrera and as a hitter and you miss 45 games or 50 games, what's that like to try to come back in a postseason scenario?
It's got to be horribly difficult. I mean, when you, especially as you said, you're not going to have any opportunities to play games in the minors. There you go. You try and get involved in as many simulated games as you can. Find somebody to throw to you. Live batting practice, but still, that's not the same. And it's awfully difficult to miss 50 games and then come back in the postseason if that, in fact, is going to be the situation for Cabrera.
Yeah, and if the Giants make it, of course, and they have to get that far, but you have to wonder if that's going to end the season. If the Giants don't make the postseason, then the suspension will carry over to next season as Rogers strikes out Chris Nelson. Third strikeout for Mark Rogers. AT&T trivia: who was the Brewers manager when they last won a series in Colorado?
Had to be Ned Yost.
You think? You got it. Way back in 2005.
Yeah, it's been rough going for Milwaukee in this ballpark right from the beginning. course, when this ballpark first opened, they had some big-time hitters, didn't they? Andres Galarraga, Larry Walker, Dante Bichette.
The Blake Street Bombers.
Vinny Castilla.
There's a drive into deep right center field. Aoki will run it down. Had a lot of ground to cover, and Aoki makes the catch to end the inning, and Mark Rogers locked in now. 7 in a row he's retired. Brewers Live is coming up next, but next is going to be a while. After the game. We're only in the 5th. Home Depot doing more on defense. How about this catch by Nori Aoki? Was covering the line a little bit, had a long way to go. Stayed with it, sun shining brightly. Aoki with the glasses on and makes it look easy. That was not an easy play.
Yeah, anytime you get a ball up in the air like that, you always wonder if it's going to be able to carry on out of here. And Aoki able to get back and make the catch.
So here's Carlos Gomez to start it. Gomez, Weeks, and Ramirez. First 3 up against Guillermo Moscoso. 4 shutout innings for Moscoso. He has been wiggling off a few hooks, stranding 7 base runners. Moscoso has not started in the big leagues since May 4th, when he pitched against the Atlanta Braves, gave up 6 earned runs in 4 1/3. He last pitched for the Rockies in relief on the 30th of June. It was against San Diego. Otherwise, he has been back and forth between AAA and the big leagues. Thought he had a rotation spot locked up after his year in Oakland last year. And that's the thing about pitching in the big leagues. It's one thing to have a successful year, but it's another to back it up.
Yeah.
And a lot of players, pitchers find it tough. You have to keep that edge about you. Not saying that Moscoso didn't, but he pitched very well for Oakland last year. Had a great first half where he had an ERA at the All-Star break at 2.14. And they're pitching every 5th day for the Athletics in their rotation.
Well, he ended up with a 338 earned run average in 21 starts. He also had 2 appearances out of the bullpen, and with numbers like that, particularly in the American League, you have to wonder what his problems are here this year. Is it pitching in Colorado? Who knows? But he really doesn't have the type of stuff that you would think would have that much of an effect.
Gomez draws the walk, and a good start for the Brewers here in the 5th. The first time today they've had a leadoff man aboard.
Yeah, today's Tavern of the Game winner, the Barrel Inn and Grill in La Crosse, if they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours. They get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
So a base runner down 4-0. And here is Ricky Weeks now. Ryan Braun, if you're just joining us, out of the lineup today. Just a day off for Braun. No injury. Moving Ricky Weeks into the 3-hole today. Weeks had a hit at his first at bat. He's singled. He is 1 for 2. Weeks hits that one hard. Deep left center field. That is going to one-hop the fence. Gomez racing around third. He'll score easily as Ricky Weeks puts the Brewers on the board in the 5th with an RBI double.
Well, his second base hit. He's got 2 of the 5 hits for the Brewers. And he's starting to swing the bat well. Yeah, good balance, good follow through, and after a split-fingered fastball stays up in the strike zone, Ricky Weeks stays back and knocks it on out into that left center field gap. And with Gomez on first, he scores easily. Well, the way Mark Rogers is starting to throw, Brewers a little bit of a comeback here.
Been a good road trip for Weeks. His 7th hit. Has 6 doubles now on this road trip in the 6th game of this road trip. As Ramirez takes a strike.
And the fastball has been pretty good for Moscoso today, but the Brewers have been all over that split-fingered fastball. 3 hits on that pitch so far today, including that last double by Ricky.
Ramirez flew out to center field in the 3rd inning. He was hit by a Moscoso pitch in the 1st. That 4-seam fastball. It's a great look from center field. You see the grip these pitchers have on the baseball.
Yep, 2-seamers, 4-seamers, sliders, and the split-fingered fastball.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Going to be a tough play. And no play. Ramirez with a slow roller put it in the right spot, and an infield hit for Ramos Ramirez. It'll be 1st and 3rd with nobody out.
They rolled that one into a pretty good spot. Once it got by Moscoso, you knew it was going to be a tough play for the middle infielders. Another pitch up in the strike zone. I think another splitter. And just kind of rolls it up through the middle. No chance in the infield, and that's the 3rd infield hit by the Brewers here today.
First and 3rd, nobody out. A run is in, and the tying run at the plate in Corey Hart. 4-1 Colorado. Brewers finally cashing in with men on base after stranding 7 through the first 4 innings. Activity in the Rockies bullpen as that pitch count starts to rise for Moscoso. Prior to this inning, he had 4 scoreless, but he was having to get into some stressful pitches with runners on base 3 of the first 4 innings. There's Carlos Torres loosening.
He's only had 1 3-up 3-down inning. That was the 3rd inning. And the Brewers finally able to cash in with a runner in scoring position, but it was the infield hit by Ramirez. 1 for 4 so far today.
Skipper Jim Tracy took this Rockies club to the playoffs in 2009. Pitch count at 74, so probably be Moscoso's last hitter. Tracy typically in this system, this pitching system the Rockies have, where their starters are only allowed to go around 75 pitches. He likes to have the next guy, the piggyback pitcher, start an inning and use a reliever to get out of a jam, perhaps, if need be. The two starters in this series have both pitched well and fairly deep into a game considering their pitch limit. Jeff Francis on Monday went 5 1/3, and then last night Tyler Chatwood went 6 innings, gave up just 1 earned run.
And not that it really matters for the Rockies, but Moscoso's spot in the batting order is set to lead off the bottom of this inning. So you're not sure if that has any bearing on who they're going to bring in. I guess it would depend on how the Brewers' top half of the 5th goes.
It's almost like you manage 2 games in one. You have your starting pitcher who's going to go 4, 5, maybe 6 innings, and then you have a guy to get out of a jam if he can't make it, basically a mid-game closer, and then you have your piggyback pitcher that will lead up to your late inning relief, your typical setup man and closer, and their closer is a good one, in Rafael Betancourt. It's very unusual. It's a shock to the system to try to follow along with the Rockies. I mean, every baseball instinct, when you watch last night's game, Tyler Chatwood is dealing through 6 innings. Just 1 earned run, 4 hits. He was at around 75, 80 pitches through 6 innings. I mean, he had a chance to finish that game.
Yeah.
And he was taken out.
And the Brewers started to score some runs. That's the problem with this system and the philosophy. You find a hot pitcher out there, and he starts getting outs, and he's got the momentum going. You have to pull him out, regardless of the score in the situation.
There's a fair ball down the line. Weeks will score. Let's watch Ramirez. He's on his way to 3rd. He'll stop there as Corey Hart doubles in a run. And the Brewers putting up a big inning here. Still nobody out. An RBI double by Corey Hart, and it's now a 2-run deficit.
Yep, another off-speed pitch that was up in the strike zone by Moscoso. He's making a lot of mistakes with that off-speed pitch. I think it was a splitter again, leaving it up around the belt. And Corey Hart able to tuck it inside that left field line, and that's going to be it.
So Moscoso went 4 scoreless, running into trouble here in the 5th, unable to record an out. We'll set up the new hurler when we come back.
So ends his day. Couple of men on, nobody out still for the Brewers. And just a reminder, at every non-marquee home game, fans can purchase a half-price Lowe's bleacher ticket in the Club Goodwill section at Miller Park. Club Goodwill tickets are sold at the ticket windows in left field.
Moscoso is out. Guillermo Moscoso, a spot start coming up from AAA Colorado Springs. He looked good through the first 4 innings. Able to strand 7 runners. All 7 of those base runners reached with 2 outs, and he was able to Put up zeros through the first 4, but big trouble here in the 5th. He exits with 2 runs in, 2 runners on. Carlos Torres out of the Rockies bullpen.
Yeah, he piggybacked for White the other day, so it's kind of a 4-man rotation as far as this starter piggyback pitcher goes for the Colorado Rockies. A lot to keep in mind if you're that Rockies manager. Now, Torres in his 17th game. He's got a .439 earned run average, and he is a rookie for Colorado this year.
Jonathan Lucroy with runners at 2nd and 3rd. A base hit could tie it up as Lucroy is a little bit late, fouls it away. Lucroy still trying to work out the timing after missing 2 months. Well, he was a hot hitter when he was hurt. When he injured himself at the end of May. Knocked him out for 2 months of the season with a broken right hand. And trying to find that swing once again. You give him credit, though. He's been battling. He's been able to get his hits. I mean, he's not hitting at a .350 pace like he was when he left. It was going to be tough to keep up anyway, but Lucroy did have a pinch hit single last night that drove in a run.
And he really has been playing, very consistently. I mean, because Martin Maldonado's been swinging the bat so well, and the Brewers need offense.
I got a piece of him. Lucroy hit by a pitch, and the bases will be loaded with nobody out.
Trying to come inside, not able to do it very effectively, and that got a piece of the forearm of Jonathan Lucroy, and the Brewers have the bases loaded and nobody out. That one not even close.
Nyjer Morgan, a base hit center field, and this game will be tied up. Ramirez and Hart score as Nyjer Morgan delivers a pair. A 2 RBI single by Morgan, and the Brewers have come back down 4-0 early. They even it up, still nobody out.
And Nyjer not messing around. First pitch from Torres, he's able to dump it into center field. Got it down on the trademark just a little bit, and because of that, man at second base, Corey Hart able to come around to score. Lucroy able to get into third base. And still nobody out. Nyjer Morgan happy with that base hit.
6 consecutive base runners to start the 5th inning. 4 hits, a walk, and a hit batter. Nobody out. Here's Gene Segura. And strike 1 to Segura. We'll close the book on Moscoso. Those 4+ 4 earned runs. Segura legged one out in the 4th inning. That extended his hitting streak to 6 games. Since his call up to the big leagues last Monday, he has played in every game but one. His only day off was Monday here in Denver, last Monday, after he made 6 consecutive starts. First and third, nobody out. Carlos Torres in the game for Colorado. Pitched in Japan last year for the Yomiuri Giants. And his first year as a Rocky. Segura into right. Tagging at third is Lucroy. The catch is made. The throw to the plate. Cut off. Lucroy scores, and Segura with a sac fly to give the Brewers the lead. Making the first out a productive one. Segura drives in his 4th as a big leaguer.
Yeah, stayed on that breaking ball pretty well and able to get it deep enough to allow Lucroy to get across home plate. And the Brewers with a big crooked number here in the 5th inning, 5 in the 5th. And still only 1 out. There's that slider. Not a bad pitch. Segura stays right on it and gets it deep enough to give the Brewers a lead.
The first lead of the series for Milwaukee.
Eric Young Jr. not really possessing the arm of a right fielder. And he's able to score the 5th run for Milwaukee. Hey, look at Eric Young Jr. You don't look at him and say that's a right fielder.
Right.
Maybe a left fielder. You wonder why Carlos Gomez isn't out there, or Carlos Gonzalez.
You remember that Eric Young came up as an infielder, a second baseman primarily. Rogers trying to bunt Nyjer Morgan to second base. Colorado had Michael Kadire playing right field. Kadire will be back soon. He's down in the minor leagues on a rehab assignment, had an oblique injury. He's got plenty of arm to play right field.
Oh, yeah. Michael Kadire can play anywhere.
There's a good bunt by Rogers. Torres makes the play to first, a sacrifice. Perfect day at the plate for Mark Rogers. 2 hits and a sac bunt. And now Morgan in scoring position for Nori Aoki, the 9th batter of the inning.
Pretty good effort so far from Mark Rogers given his circumstances this week. Able to settle down nicely after a rough start. Able to help himself offensively.
Five-4 Brewers. They've scored all 5 here in this inning. Aoki takes a strike from Torres. Nori is hitless today. He's 0 for 2. Did draw a walk in the second inning.
They're just trying to keep Nyjer Morgan close because the outfield very shallow, particularly in left and center. Aoki gets a base hit that's hit pretty well at one of those outfielders. It's going to be tough for him to score.
Pickoff play, and Morgan is cut down. Nyjer Morgan picked off second base. Well, the Brewers score 5 on 4 hits. They bring 8 to the plate, and they now lead 5-4. 5-4. Brewers now have the lead after a 5-run inning. Nigel Morgan driving in a pair, but then getting picked off to end the inning. Well, Aaron Rodgers, he's the Packers' best player, you know that, but what makes him a leader? Paul Emick sat down with the NFL MVP in an exclusive interview and asked both Rodgers and his teammates that question. Read Paul's story now at foxsportswisconsin.com. Speaking of Rodgers, Mark Rodgers back on the mound, minus the D. And his first pitch down and away. And Nigel Morgan, back-to-back pickoff attempts. The second one works.
Yeah, the daylight play with the shortstop playing up the middle. I mean, Herrera. I mean, there was a lot of room between the shortstop and Nigel Morgan. That wasn't even close at second base. So what was a very good inning could have been better.
Carlos Torres getting an at-bat here. The Rockies pitcher. Rockies relievers do get quite a few at-bats in this system.
Got a base hit on Sunday against the Giants to drive in a run. Similar situation coming in as the guy picking up that starting pitcher. So what seems to be a 4-man rotation is really an 8-man rotation.
Right. Just half of those guys don't start the games.
You have 2 starters a day. 2 guys that definitely know they're going to pitch.
Torres down on strikes. The 4th strikeout for Mark Rodgers.
Say what you want about it, but it's worked pretty well in this series. Of course, you know, Josh Renke came in, you know, following up Chatwood last night. Did not look very good, but I mean, if what they're trying to do is save innings for these young pitchers, they're doing that. And what they do going forward and into next year, it might be completely different. But based on where they are in the standings, their record, and what they hope to achieve this year, I guess they want to minimize those innings.
I would imagine it's a tough morale sell for the Rockies starting pitchers, knowing that you've got 75 pitches to try to get through however many innings you can as Young grounds out. One of the few times the Brewers have retired Eric Young. And the first time today, 2 outs in the inning.
And one thing it does make you do is throw strikes. You throw too many pitches out of the zone, and you will be in the showers very quickly in this Colorado Rockies pitching philosophy. Hey, for $20, see the Brew Crew and the Zoo. Get 1 ticket to select Brewers games, 1 2012 admission ticket to the Milwaukee County Zoo, and a T-shirt. Visit brewers.com/zoo.
Tyler Colvin takes strike 1. Rodgers really dialed in now. He was a pitch away from getting out of the first inning without giving up a run, perhaps. But Ramon Hernandez hit a bouncer back up the middle for a base hit that plated a run, and then 2 more runs came in on the Chris Nelson single, a 2 RBI single. It was a 3-run first. Eric Young homered to the opposite field in the second. That one's hit hard, right field. Colvin with a base hit. A 2-out single, and that snaps a streak for Mark Rodgers. 9 in a row he had retired before that base hit.
Yep, fastball that stayed right down the middle of the plate. It looked like Luke Roy wanted it in. He left it out over the plate. Colvin able to get a base hit. From what we've seen from this Rockies lineup, and we've said it a couple of times, you make a mistake with a fastball, they will hit it so hard somewhere. They don't miss fastballs.
So here is Dexter Fowler. Been a hot hitter for the Rockies. He gets a swing here with a man on. Fowler lined out in the first inning off Rodgers. Hit one sharply right to Morgan and left. Rodgers struck him out looking in the 3rd inning. Fowler starting to mature as a hitter, putting together his best season offensively. Switch hitting center fielder with speed, Dexter Fowler.
And he's equally good from both sides of the plate. 295 as a right-handed batter and 298 as a lefty. Can't get much more consistent than that.
He leads the major leagues in triples right now. Good triples ballpark. He's just got a good swing going. His swing looks a lot more level and more aggressive. He's been a guy that struck out a lot in his career, had 130 Ks last year. And he's on a pace for that, probably a little less than. He's already at 94 strikeouts, but now he's bringing the batting average to it. He's never hit higher than 266. He's pushing 300 this year. Hitting third in this lineup without some of the big bats.
Yeah, tough to replace Tulowitzki, Todd Helton, Kadire, those type of guys, but they've done a pretty good job of picking up the pieces. This is a lineup that is relatively tough to get through. They don't strike out a whole lot, and they seem to put the ball in play. They have pretty good speed, and they certainly have given the Brewers all they can handle.
Yeah, the Rockies have of those have gone for extra bases. Runner goes, and that one's hit hard to center field. Gomez is there. He makes the catch to end the inning. Dexter Fowler, a big hang with him. 2 line drive outs. Mark Rogers keeps it rolling. A shutdown inning, still leading 5-4.
With Ryan Braun as the Brewers lead the Rockies 5-4 here in the top of the 6th inning. Let's take a look at our Brewers minor league report. Sean Markham is scheduled to make a rehab start with Class A Wisconsin tonight in Beloit. And the Nashville Sounds beat Tacoma 3-2. Tim Dillard picks up the win, going an inning and a third with 1 K. And Jordan Brown's 2-out RBI double in the bottom of the ninth. Good win, Brian.
All right, Telly, thanks. The minor league report as Aoki pops up foul territory for the first out of this 6th inning. Aoki was at the plate when Morgan was picked off, and now he's retired here in the 6th. By the way, Telly mentioned Tim Dillard. He established a milestone yesterday, earning his 35th career win as a member of the Nashville Sounds. That ties the all-time franchise record, as Telly was saying. Keith Brown did it 1988 to 1992. That was when Nashville was in the Cincinnati organization. And that's kind of one of those dubious honors, you know. I mean, it's great that Dillard's been able to stay in the game as a professional pitcher, a AAA pitcher, but that's kind of a Crash Davis statistic, right?
Yeah. You'd rather not having been in AAA that long, right? Stay in the big leagues. Dillard spent the first half in Milwaukee, struggled out of the bullpen somewhat.
Tell you what, the guy who's making noise in the minor league system right now is Hunter Morris of the Huntsville Stars. He's making a push at a triple crown in the Southern League this year. Has a legitimate shot at it too. He's tied for the Southern League in home runs with 22. He's second in RBIs with 93. He's third in batting average, hitting .298.
Yeah. 93 RBIs down in the minor leagues. That's incredible. I mean, and remember, the season ends at the end of August.
Now that is a 140 game schedule in the minor leagues. Nashville is currently second, which is the good news in their division in the PCL. The bad news is they're 17 games back. Brewers will have a postseason team in Wisconsin this year in their system. The Timber Rattlers won the first half. 5 back of the lead here in half number 2. Sean Markham will be pitching for the Timber Rattlers. That'll help their second half push. By the way, that game in Beloit, that's not too far from Milwaukee. Make a quick little drive down there to see how Markham does. If he gets to his pitch count tonight, Sean Markham, then you'll probably see him back in the big leagues next time around. There's a great diving stop. Pacheco to his feet, and the throw is in time to get Gomez. Outstanding play by Jordan Pacheco. Not just to get the baseball in his glove, but to throw out a speedy runner in Gomez.
Man, look at the play by Tyler Colvin over at first base. Throw a little bit off the mark, but he's able to catch it, give himself a little bit more time as he catches it in foul territory. Good footwork and good job over there by Colvin as well.
The versatile Pacheco showing good range over at third base. 2 up and 2 down. Carlos Torres came in the 5th inning as Weeks hammers one to right field, a base hit. 3 hits for Ricky Weeks in this game, 2 singles and a double. And another 2-out base runner. This MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. So a big group from the Boys and Girls Club of Milwaukee at Miller Park, the last home game. Ramirez on the first pitch pops it up. Colvin with the shades on makes the play, and that's that in the 6th. To the bottom of the 6th we go. Brewers 5, Rockies 4.
Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by the new Miller Lite Punch Top Can. It's Miller time. Beautiful downtown Denver. What a great setting here. And the ballpark, Coors Field, situated in downtown, the Lodo District. Time now for the Jimmy John's high-speed delivery. Rogers fastball topping out at 95. Colorado starter Guillermo Moscoso at 93. And Rogers a chance to win his first big league ball game. He has a 5-4 lead. He's back out there for the 6th inning. He'll face Carlos Gonzalez to start it. Gonzalez, Hernandez, and Pacheco. 5 innings, 4 runs. Rogers gave up 3 in the first. But he has battled his way into the late innings now as Gonzalez drops a bunt down. It's perfect. Can't do it any better than that.
Yeah, let him do that any day. I mean, if he wants to bunt for a base hit, go ahead. The way that guy can hit home runs and drive the ball into the gaps. Well, I guess if you're going to do it, leading off an inning when you're down by a run is the time to do it. The Rockies cleanup hitter. And the Brewers have that shift, and if he wants to do that, they'll let him do that all day.
He does everything smoothly, just makes the game look easy. And there's the tying run aboard to start this 6th inning. Bunt single. Now Ramon Hernandez. We'll see if Gonzalez will try to steal here. A bunt. It's a good one. Ramirez bare hands, throw to first in time. Speaking of guys making it look easy, Aramis Ramirez.
Well, a little bit more prepared for that one. He was at normal position, about even with the bag. Hernandez gave it away a little bit too early, and he makes that play as well as anybody. That bare hand pickup and not even close. That'll go down as a sacrifice. But Hernandez was trying to bunt for a base hit.
So there's the tying run at second now with 1 away. And Jordan Pacheco at the plate. Pacheco has shown a good eye in this game. Had a walk in the first inning. Got into a deep count before he eventually grounded out in the 4th. A young hitter who knows his strike zone, according to Jim Tracy. And you can't maintain a .300 batting average this late into the season without knowing your strike zone well.
And he's got about 300 at bats. And the pitch that he was able to walk on in the first inning was a borderline fastball just about at that spot. This time it's called a strike.
Got a meeting at the mound here. Ricky Weeks called the meeting, changing the signs perhaps with that runner at second base. Big inning for Rogers. Sluggish start. He's settled in. He and his wife welcoming in their first child on Monday between starts. Rogers pitched very well against Houston last week. Bullpen let it get away, and a win went out the window for Mark Rogers.
Man, he left the game in Houston with a 3-1 lead.
Into center field. Gomez is right there. And there is out number 2. Mark Rogers making his first start as a father here this afternoon, and would love to put a win on the board. Still looking for win number 1 of his big league career. He labored through that first inning. 3 runs, 3 hits allowed. He walked a batter.
His pitch count's in pretty good shape right now at 86 pitches. You would figure that somewhere around 100 would be where the Brewers would allow him to get. And he just got an out on the slider, so his off-speed pitches he's starting to throw for strikes a little bit more often.
Strike 1 to Chris Nelson. Nelson had a 2-out, 2 RBI single in the first inning.
There's that 2-seam fastball grip. You can see a little bit of late movement on it.
Well, if a guy like Mark Rogers, who has so much talent, if he can stay healthy, sky's the limit for what he can do on the mound. I mean, he has ace-like stuff. 2 shoulder surgeries, wrist surgery on both wrists, as a matter of fact. Had to serve a minor league suspension. He's been through a lot, but he's only 26. Says he has never been healthier in his professional career than he is right now.
And he's pitching like it. He's not afraid to use his fastball and throw it over the plate. And even on a day like today, where he's really struggled with his breaking ball, not able to throw it for strikes a whole lot, he's been getting away for the most part with a good fastball with some pretty good velocity on it.
Two outs in the inning, tying run at second. Brewers lead 5-4. And Rogers spins one in for a strike. A slider from Rogers. 2-2 the count. He's pretty much ditched the curveball at this point and been able to throw this one for strikes since that second inning.
And that's a dandy on a 2-1 count.
Two and two, Chris Nelson. Rogers deals and a little flare. Segura's back. That's down for a hit. And a run will score. Chris Nelson for the second time today driving in a run with 2 outs. He now has 3 RBIs in this game. And a pretty decent pitch by Rogers, and Nelson able to dump it into center field.
And nothing really hit all that hard from Nelson. Right off the end of the bat on a breaking ball. It was down the middle, but it was around the knees, just out of the reach of Segura, and a 2-out RBI single for Chris Nelson. That ties the game. And once again, tough team to strike out. I mean, they have been able to make contact throughout this series. And there's a good example of it right there.
Here's Jonathan Herrera. All tied at 5 here in the 6th inning. Nelson with 3 RBIs. He's had 2 2-out run-producing hits. Plated the second and third run in that first inning. And now ties it up with an RBI single here in the 6th. Herrera sharply to short. Segura will go to first, and that's the inning. But the Rockies score. Get a leadoff bunt single by Gonzalez. Nelson drives him in. All tied up. To the top of the 7th inning, Mark Rogers giving up a run in the 6th. Chris Nelson has been his nemesis today. Time now for our AT&T U-verse Reverse Replay. Rogers has had an interesting day. Flies into Colorado to make this start after the birth of his first child. He is pitching in this ball game into the late innings and has been very successful at the plate. 2 hits and a sac bunt.
Yeah, no surprise that he came out a little bit sluggish. Gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but settled down nicely after that. You would have to say that today's performance a good one for Rogers. And it looks like his day is done.
Yep, Rick Kranitz kind of going over the start with him here today. Corey Hart leads off for the Brewers. They'd love to give him a lead here and try to give him an opportunity to win a game. Corey Hart at the plate, presented by Wendy's. Carlos Torres back out there, his 3rd inning of work. Came in relief in the 5th. All 5 runs for the Brewers scored in that 5th inning. And Hart was a part of it. He drove in a run with a double and scored a run. Three 3-0 to Hart. Takes ball 4. So a leadoff walk. Only the 2nd time today the Brewers have had a lead man on. Jonathan Lucroy with a man on. Lucroy into center field. Fowler eases back. He has room. He'll make the catch. Hart's going to tag, and he will make it to second base.
Well, that ball carried pretty well. You know, when that ball was hit, it looked like a routine play for Dexter Fowler, and he had to go all the way back to the wall to catch that one. And he hit it on the sweet spot, but got under it. And that ball just kept carrying all the way back to the center field wall. That's 415 out there.
Hart wisely tags, puts himself into scoring position. And now looks like Jim Tracy on his way out. A pitching change coming up with Niger Morgan coming to the plate, a left-handed hitter. Tracy's going to make the call to the bullpen. He's got left-hander Rex Brothers ready to go. We'll take a timeout. Now Carlos Torres taken out. Brewers have the go-ahead run at second base. And Jim Tracy making a pitching change. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. The Brewers and the Phillies start a 4-game series tomorrow. The Marlins roughed up the Phillies today. Beat them 9-2. Mark Burley beat Roy Halladay today. Phillies will beat the Brewers to Milwaukee. Cliff Lee tomorrow for Philadelphia. Marco Estrada gets a call for the Brew Crew. Tomorrow through Sunday, the Philadelphia Phillies. And then the Astros come to town. Or check that, the Cubs come to town. Here's Matt Reynolds in relief of Torres, facing Niger Morgan. Jim Tracy playing the matchup here. Niger Morgan had a base hit in that 5-run 5th inning that plated 2. That tied the game. Niger Morgan's single. We are on a no-hitter watch. Felix Hernandez of the Mariners no-hitting the Tampa Bay Rays through 7 innings.
Yeah, tight one over there in Seattle, though. 1-0.
Niger Morgan, a little flare to left. That's down. Here comes Hart. And he will score. Niger Morgan gives the Brewers the lead.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good approach by Niger. Didn't hit it all that hard. And Corey Hart's good base running on that fly ball from Lucroy to center. Able to get into scoring position. And Corey able to score the go-ahead run. That breaking ball away. Niger just serves it out there into left field. Corey Hart with a great jump off of second base. And scores without a throw.
6-5 Milwaukee. Morgan has had a terrific day at the plate today. 2 big hits. One that tied the game in the 5th. Now one that puts the Brewers on top in the 7th.
And he couldn't have hit it any better to score the run because Carlos Gonzalez was playing very shallow in left. If he hit that ball any harder, Corey Hart would not have been able to score.
There goes Morgan. Throw to second. One hops. Morgan is a dead duck at second base. He got a late jump. That was some kind of pick by Jonathan Herrera. Or Chris Nelson, I beg your pardon. And
man, it looked like it was almost a hit and run.
Sure did.
And Niger Morgan looking in. That was a heck of a play out there by Nelson to be able to pick that short hop. Yeah, high fives all around. You wonder if there was a sign missed.
Gene Segura down the line. That is a foul ball. Just foul. By the way, that Felix Hernandez no-hitter, that's actually a perfect game. Joe Madden was ejected. Something about the Mariners and no-hitters in perfect games, right?
Right. Philip
Umber threw a perfect game against Seattle. Seattle had a 6-pitcher combined no-hitter this year, and Felix Hernandez working on a perfect game through 7. So keep our eyes on that one for you.
And Tampa Bay's been involved in a lot of those too. No-hitters, perfect games on the wrong side of them.
There's a swing and a miss. Segura strikes out, and the inning is over. But the Brewers score, and they take the lead. An RBI single by Niger Morgan, and it's 6-5 Milwaukee. Toyota game summary. Eric Young Jr. hitting a home run in the second inning. Rogers got down 4-0, but the Brewers answered with 5 runs on 5 hits in the 5th inning. Nyjer Morgan tied the game with a 2 RBI single in the 5th, and then gives the Brewers the lead with an RBI single in the 7th. So here we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Brewers now lead 6-5, and it's going to be Francisco Rodriguez trying to protect that lead and give Mark Rogers his first major league win.
Well, he tossed a scoreless 8th inning on Monday. That included a couple of strikeouts, but overall has been struggling in his last 9 or so appearances, but he looked pretty good on Monday night.
He'll face Matt McBride, pinch hitting for the Rockies. McBride, Eric Young Jr., and Tyler Colvin. 9, 1, and 2 coming up in the order. And that outing for K-Rod the other day, the best he has pitched in a while. He looked like his old self.
He was throwing his changeup for strikes. He was keeping it down, and as we talked about, a couple of strikeouts in that inning.
Quickly 0-2 on McBride. That was his outing Monday. 2 strikeouts. Took him just 8 pitches. And hoping the turnaround is here for Francisco Rodriguez. Mark Rogers goes 6 innings, gives up 5 runs, but has a chance at his first major league win as the Brewers have taken the lead. Good pitch. McBride out in front. Little pop up to Ricky Weeks. And there is out number 1.
Man, that's been the pitch that has given K-Rod problems, throwing that pitch near the strike zone to get a swing. A lot of them have been down in the dirt, off the outside corner, but close enough right there. And McBride way out in front. There's that breaking pitch. Looked like a strike and an easy out to Ricky Weeks.
So here's Eric Young Jr. now. Not only has Eric Young been one of the hottest Rockies hitters, he's been one of the best hitters in the National League over this stretch of games. Making his 9th consecutive start, and during this stretch, Eric Young has 19 hits in these 9 games. 19 hits. He's 19 for 39, just shy of 500, and has 3 homers and 6 RBIs during the stretch. Quickly down 0-2. Getting a lot of playing time since August 6th.
He's been on 7 times in this series alone. 6 for 12, and he also has a walk.
And no player in the National League has more hits than Young during this 9-game stretch. His playing time has increased with the injuries to Kadire, the right fielder, and Todd Helton, the first baseman. Helton going out moves Tyler Colvin from the outfield to first base, which has opened up some extra playing time for Eric Young, and he's taken advantage of it. And a swing and a foul tip in and out of the mid of Lucroy.
Good pitch, good location, but Lucroy just not able to hold it in the webbing.
That's not a skill play. That's all luck. It's either in the middle of your glove or not.
Yeah, that's not something you can practice.
In slow motion, it looks like he might be able to grab it, but it's not the way it is.
Everything looks easy from up here and on television.
Yes, it does.
This game does look easy. Down there, a little bit different.
You see that cluster for K-Rod on the Fox tracks. He's done a nice job keeping the ball down to Eric Young Jr. Young hit a home run last night on a down and in pitch. He hit a missile out of here It bounced off the facing of the second deck out beyond the bullpen in right center. A little guy with some big power hidden in there that we never really knew about until the last 2 games.
A lot like his old man. EY Sr. had some pop in that bat. Didn't look like it, but he gets a hold of one. He'll get it flying.
Eric Young Sr. was one of the original Rockies. He was in the expansion draft of the Colorado Rockies in the winter of '92. And now his son playing his way into an everyday role with Colorado. Eric Young Sr. is the first base coach of the Diamondbacks these days after a stint on television on Kirk Gibson's coaching staff. Two and two. He's hanging tough. Another foul out of play.
Yeah, Eric Young Sr. has the biggest smile in all of baseball. I haven't seen too many smiles from Junior in this series. But EY Sr. always had a smile on his face. Still does.
Looks a lot like him.
Yes, he does.
Do it again. Another 2-2 pitch. And he got him. K-Rod strikes out Eric Young Jr. Out number 2. Well, K-Rod trying to hold the Rockies right at 5. Mark Rogers leaves with a lead. Got a chance for a victory. Rogers goes 6 innings today, Rock. And given the circumstances, bringing in a new child just 2 days ago, he handled himself pretty well.
Yes, he did. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but then settled down nicely. 2 runs. After that, he had a stretch where he retired 9 in a row. He was able to get his breaking ball over as the day went on. He did a pretty good job at the plate, a couple of hits and a sacrifice bunt. So a good day at the office for the new daddy, Mark Rogers.
Tyler Colvin with 2 away. K-Rod trying to retire the side in order, which would be a welcome sight for that Brewers dugout. It was right here in Denver last year. Rodriguez made his Brewers debut when he and John Axford combined to be the toughest tandem out of the bullpen in baseball in the regular season last year. Unbeaten. Once K-Rod took over in the setup role, Axford in the middle of that long consecutive save streak that ended at 49 earlier this year. Only 3 other pitchers in the history of the game have had longer consecutive saves than John Axford. And the Brewers are hoping to hit that reset button quickly.
Well, it's tough to live up to that, but you didn't expect a fall off that, you know, they both would experience all at the same time.
4-pitch walk to Tyler Colvin.
And that's been the problem, along with giving up hits, is the base on balls for this Brewers bullpen. Yeah, put a man on base, now all of a sudden the go-ahead run comes to the plate.
Manny Parra in the Brewers bullpen. And you figured Parra would come on to face Gonzalez, who is due up next. Fowler's a switch hitter. He represents the go-ahead run now and has already established a new career high for home runs. Fowler has hit 12 home runs this year. Fowler is 0 for 3, but he has hit the ball sharply twice. Lined out to left in the first inning, hit a bullet to center field in the 5th inning. Nothing to show for it. 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th. There goes a runner, and Lucroy's throw is high. Colvin got a great jump, a stolen base, The pitch was called a strike, but now the tying run in scoring position.
Yeah, you can run on K-Rod with a big high leg kick, and then he goes with the curveball to make things even worse. For Jonathan Lucroy, it was a decent throw, a little bit high, but probably wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Colvin has good speed. Fowler lifts one high in the air, right center field. Gomez with room, and Frankie Rodriguez holds serve. A scoreless 7th inning. Brewers still lead it 6-5. Final game of the series with the Colorado Rockies before heading home to start a series tomorrow with the Phillies. Top of the 8th inning from Coors Field. Will Harris on the mound for the Rockies, the new pitcher, making just his 2nd appearance in the big leagues. Made his debut on Monday.
He got roughed up. He gave up that 3-run home run to Ricky Weeks. And Brew was able to make it a game, got beat 9-6. And Harris gave up 3 runs on a couple of hits. He also hit a batter in his major league debut.
So appearance number 2 for Will Harris, and he'll be facing a pinch hitter to start this inning. K-Rod works a scoreless bottom of the 7th, and he'll be pinch hit for Travis Ishikawa coming off the bench. Ishikawa part of that 9th inning rally last night. The Brewers came up 2 runs short, but Ishikawa delivered with a pinch hit single in that inning. That's where most of his at-bats are coming these days. Corey Hart has been so good at first base. The Brewers have not needed Ishikawa's skills defensively, even though he's a very accomplished first baseman.
It's been a while since he's been out there at first base.
Ishikawa played a little outfield this spring, and he still can go out there if need be. But the Brewers already have plenty of options in the outfield, so Ishikawa is just doing most of his work right now as a pinch hitter. Into left field, Gonzalez almost in his tracks for the out. One gone here in the 8th, back to the top of the order. We're keeping our eye on a perfect game going on in Seattle. Felix Hernandez has a 1-0 lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. He's pitching in the 8th inning with 2 outs, and he is still perfect. A strike to Aoki. Strike two. Harris poured him in here in this 8th inning.
He's got a decent fastball, and there's a breaking pitch right on the outside corner.
Ball and 2 strikes on Aoki. Able to lay off. 2-2 now. Will Harris, one of the 9 relievers in the Rockies bullpen. Split time last year between AA and AAA. As Aoki pops it foul, that's going to head into the seats. Why do we bother bringing our gloves? Look at his son. For shame, father. For shame.
He played it perfectly, though. I mean, he two-handed it, but just couldn't hold on.
Two and two to Nori Aoki. Tapper foul. No rock. Felix Hernandez is through 8. 10 strikeouts. Hernandez perfect through 8 complete innings in Seattle. He is 3 outs away from a perfect game against the Tampa Bay Rays. He struck out Carlos Pena to end the 8th inning.
And it's only a 1-0 lead, so he's got more on his mind than just that perfect game. One mistake and it could cost him the lead.
2-2. Aoki into center. Fowler is there. 2 outs in the inning. And that'll bring up Carlos Gomez. He homered on Monday, did Gomez. 0 for 3 today with a walk. He scored a run. That home run, and every home run from here on out, establishes a new career high. Powerball home run number 11 on Monday for Gomez.
Gomez kick-started the 5th inning for Milwaukee with a walk.
Gomez down the left field line. That is foul. Just missed it.
Just couldn't wait back long enough. Hooked it. And way foul.
Gomez looking for his first hit. Brewers could use some insurance. Got Carlos Gonzalez set to lead off the bottom of this inning. The dangerous Rockies All-Star. Looks like Manny Parra will have the 8th inning for the Brewers.
Well, at least the beginning of the 8th inning. You got Carlos Gonzalez leading off.
Axford up as well. There's a swing and a miss. 1-2 on Gomez. Bouncing ball, backhanded Herrera. Long throw is in time. Second time Herrera has taken a hit away from Gomez. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Gonzalez leads off.
Jerry and Craig back with you, getting ready for Brewers Live postgame. And Jerry, the relief pitching going to be a big storyline here in Game 3. The Brewers had to hold these Rockies down, something they couldn't do in the first 2 games.
Well, the Rockies actually scored runs, but you got to give them credit. Got to give the credit to Rogers. After that second inning, he just gave up 1 run on 2 hits, and that the Brewers turned it over to the Brewers. K-Rod had a good inning. Now it's up to Manny Parra.
All right, Manny Parra in a good matchup here with Gonzalez to lead off the bottom half of the 8th inning. Brewers Live postgame on the way following our broadcast live here from Denver. We're going to hear from Ron Renicky and the crew. Brian?
All right, thanks a lot, Craig and Augie. Looking forward to Brewers Live. And now Manny Parra steps into a hot spot against one of the game's best hitters, Carlos Gonzalez. He'll lead off with the Brewers clinging to a 1-run lead. Parra's 46th appearance of the season.
Well, you figure it's going to be 1 and out. He's in to get out Gonzalez, and then with a number of right-handed bats coming up, you figure it's going to be Axford. Everybody's talking about that Brewers bullpen, but so far in this series, the bullpen has only allowed 3 runs. So these guys have been pitching pretty well in this series.
And he broke his bat. Lazy pop up to Segura. And a big out for Manny Parra, out number 1. Now that little hiatus for Parra, he missed 2 weeks, never went on the disabled list. A little tightness in the shoulder, and Brewers didn't want to put him on the DL. They thought it might be a day-to-day thing, but when it was all said and done, it was 2 full weeks away from the mound. And it was interesting that Parra actually pitched in a simulated game while on the active roster, and that could be a major league first.
You don't see that every day. That double barrel action down there in the bullpen. Ron Renicky gave the motion to Lucroy to go out there and have a chat, maybe to stall for some time. Ron Renicky would expect to come out of that dugout here pretty soon.
And here comes Ron Renicky. So Parra faces 1 batter and retires a big one in Gonzalez. And now Rick Kranitz is hollering something out to Renicky on his way out. Renicky turned around, not sure what that was all about.
Well, you got 2 right-handers up in the bullpen. That's kind of confusing. You would think at this point in the game, when you're going to get Axford up, you would bring him in. But the long delay, asking Lucroy to go out and stall for some time, you wonder if they're trying to get Cameron Lowe ready. And who's it going to be? Yep, it's Axford.
So Axford is next. 1 out, bases clean. Good job, Manny Parra. We'll take a break. Colorado. The Brewers trying to pick up this final game of the series. Our text question today, courtesy of Ho Chunk Gaming. What's the most memorable perfect game or no-hitter you've seen? Mike in Jackson. I'm going to answer for Rock because he saw it from 60 feet 6 inches with Juan Nieves.
Yeah, that's my pick.
And my pick would be the Roy Halladay
right.
no-hitter in the postseason 2 years ago in 2010 against the Reds. Well, so far this year we've had 5 no-hitters, 2 of those perfect games. Note the Mariners' presence here. Philip Humber threw a perfect game against Seattle on April 21st, and then the Mariners had a 6-pitcher combined no-hitter earlier this year. We tell you all this because Felix Hernandez is 3 outs away from a perfect game pitching for the Mariners against the Rays as we speak. And once Hernandez is back on the mound, we'll report it as such.
And the Rays have been victimized by a number of perfect games, in recent memory. As John Axford comes on for the 52nd time this year. There's that curveball. That's the key to his success.
Well, Renick's showing a lot of faith. He's going with some from his old guard. K-Rod working a scoreless 7th inning, protecting a 1-run lead. Axford enters with 1 out and nobody on, facing Ramon Hernandez.
Yeah, but it's the 7th and 8th, not the 8th and 9th.
Hernandez has been a nemesis for John Axford. You might remember opening day last year, Hernandez hit a grand slam in the 9th inning off Axford. There's a bullet knocked down. Up with it, Weeks to Axford, covering in time. What a play by Corey Hart.
Yeah, and believe it or not, they work on that play every day in batting practice. Good job by Ricky not giving up on it. Fastball from John Axford, that high fastball to Ramon Hernandez. Watch Ricky. He's able to make the adjustment and feed Axford for the out easily. Ramon Hernandez doesn't run all that well.
Hart taking a hit away from Hernandez. And Weeks was right there for the ricochet. 3-4-1 putout. Now 2 outs in the inning. And there's a base hit to right by Pacheco.
That Pacheco is pretty good at using right field. Most of his hits in this series have gone to right field.
And the tying run is aboard, and the man who has done the most damage today, Chris Nelson, will bat. He has 3 runs batted in. All of his RBIs coming with 2 outs in the inning. Had a 2 RBI single with 2 outs in the 1st inning. Had a 2-out RBI single in the 6th that tied the game. Swing and a miss. Fastball from Axford.
Man, that's where you want it, up there. You get it down around mid-thigh, the knees. The hitter more able to get a piece of it, but upstairs, that's a tough pitch to get on top of.
Swing and a miss. Big cut on a big fastball, and it's now 1-2. Felix Hernandez now an out away from a perfect game. He's retired the first 2 hitters for the Rays in Seattle. As Axford strikes out Chris Nelson. Fastballs galore from John Axford. Brewers still leading 6-5. Here as we head to the 9th inning, 6-5 Milwaukee. And Ricky Weeks, our Pizza Hut delivery of the game. Boy, he's had some kind of day, hitting third today. Ryan Braun out of the lineup. And Weeks responding with 3 hits, including a double and an RBI in the 5th inning. 2 singles and a double. All set to lead off.
Yep, drove in the first run of that 5th inning with that double in the left center. Brewers would certainly like to get a little bit of insurance in this inning. And they have the guys coming up to do it.
"6-5 Brewers. They have the lead in the 9th. John Axford picking up a strikeout to end the 8th inning and retiring 2 hitters in that 8th inning. A terrific play by Corey Hart. Brewers bullpen. K-Rod, Parra, and Axford putting up zeros in the 7th and the 8th as Weeks flies one to right field. Young coming in. He's got it for the out. Now, Rock, it's all over in Seattle. Felix Hernandez has thrown a perfect game. Here's how the 9th inning went down. Desmond Jennings started it, a strikeout. And then Jeff Keppinger grounded out. That was out number 2 in that 9th inning. And then Sean Rodriguez, standing between Rodriguez or Hernandez in history, a backwards K on a changeup. And the first perfect game in Mariners history, and they've been involved in 3 of the 6 no-hitters this year.
Isn't that something? Man, how many times have the Tampa Bay Rays been victimized by the perfect game?
Yeah, the last 4 perfect games in baseball.
Right, 3 or 4.
3 of them have been at the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays. They've been on the wrong side of it as Jim Henderson begins to get loose. So 6 no-hitters in baseball this year, 3 perfect games. Felix Hernandez joins Matt Cain and Philip Umber. And Felix Hernandez, the 4th no-hitter in Mariners history. The Mariners had a 6-pitcher combined no-hitter earlier this year. Randy Johnson, Chris Bosio, the 6-pitcher combined no-hitter, and now Felix Hernandez in the Mariners franchise history. Always think back to Chris Bosio's no-hitter for the Mariners in '93, former Brewer coach.
He said he was sick. He was under the weather that day.
Beware of the weary. Ramirez into center field. And routine for Fowler for the 2nd out.
And Felix Hernandez only took him 113 pitches to throw that perfect game, 77 of them for strikes. I guess that's what you have to do to throw a perfect game, right? Just pound the strike zone. That's what he did.
Never in the history of baseball, even going back into the late 1800s, not just the modern era, but in the history of baseball, have there been 3 perfect games in a season until now. If you're wondering, the most no-hitters in a season is 8. That was back in 1884. But in the modern era, 7 no-hitters in back-to-back seasons. Rock, you'll remember that. 1990 and 1991, there were 7 no-hitters in each of those 2 seasons. No wonder you exited the game so quickly.
Angels had one. They combined no-hitter.
Yeah, the Mariners involved in exactly half of the no-hitters this year. On the receiving end once, that Philip Umber perfect game, and on the giving end twice. Corey Hart pops this one up. Colvin wants it, and that's the inning. 1-2-3 inning. Brewers go down in order. We head to the bottom of the 9th. It's going to be Jim Henderson to try to save it. hang on here in Denver. A 6-5 lead. And he will give the ball to Jim Henderson today as his closer. The bullpen at this point has been very good. Our Marshfield Clinic shining moment. K-Rod worked a scoreless 7th inning. Manny Parra got an out. He got a big out. And Carlos Gonzalez in the 8th. And John Axford getting the final 2 outs, including a strikeout to the hot-hitting Chris Nelson. So far, so good. 3 pitchers, 2 scoreless out of the bullpen.
So far, the Brewers bullpen has been pretty good in this series. 10th appearance for Henderson. He's got a couple of saves. A .338 earned run average. He last pitched on Saturday against the Astros. Pitched an inning, gave up a run. And then tossed a perfect 9th inning before retiring 4 straight batters in the 9th.
Henderson took the loss in that comeback by the Astros when he entered the game in a tie game. Columbia St. Mary's save tracker is now at 2 for Henderson. So this will be his first outing since he was unable to record an out in Houston. Trying to pitch in multiple innings for Ron Renicky on Saturday night.
Yeah, something that he has not done a whole lot of, and it caught up with him. But only needs 3 outs here tonight, or I should say today.
Mark Rogers anxiously waiting, sitting there with a chance to win his first big league game 2 days after the birth of his first child. A lot of firsts for Mark Rogers. Jim Henderson, 10 years in the minor leagues, getting his first chance in the big leagues, and he's made the most of it so far. Had 2 saves against the Reds. Jonathan Herrera leads off. Henderson deals strike 1.
Well, the good thing about Henderson is his ability to throw strikes. Coming out of that bullpen, pouring into strikes with that big fastball.
Herrera, the switch hitter. Rockies are at the bottom of their order. 8-9-1 due up for Colorado. Willeen Rosario, the everyday catcher for Colorado, is on deck. One and 2 the count on Herrera. Rogers started, gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. Brewers were able to erase a 4-0 deficit today. There's a strike called on the outside corner. Henderson with a buzz bomb on the corner. 95 miles an hour for the first out.
That little tail on that fastball, just barely able to catch that outside corner. Watch Lucroy the way he holds it. And Corey Blazer rings it up. 2-seam fastball and a good start to the 9th.
Henderson had 15 saves in AAA. Didn't think he'd be getting this kind of opportunity this quickly in the big leagues. As Willeen Rosario will pinch hit, the top home run hitting rookie in the National League, has 19. He hit one here yesterday.
Starting him out with a good breaking ball. Boy, I wasn't looking for that pitch. Well, you throw that first pitch strike, you're going to have him guessing.
Rosario is the Rockies' everyday catcher. Ramon Hernandez started today, day game after the night game. He's a middle of the lineup hitter for Colorado, as I had a very impressive rookie season. Big swing and a miss.
That was his best fastball of the day. Outer half, 96 miles an hour.
Rosario with a .244 batting average, but those 19 home runs. He's a big threat. The 2-strike pitch on the ground, a base hit through the hole. Rosario comes up with a 2-strike single And there is the tying run for Colorado.
Yep, he tried to overthrow the slider that time, and it kind of just spun up there. And Rosario, pretty good piece of hitting with 2 strikes. Sometimes you try and throw them too hard, they don't do anything. And Rosario able to get the base hit, and he represents the tying run.
Now Henderson back at the top of the order. And a hot hitter at the plate, Eric Young Jr. as he hits a liner into center field, a base hit. Rosario on his way to third. And now the Rockies knocking at the door. First and third, 1 out. The tying run just 90 feet away.
Well, down and in, not a spot where you want to throw Eric Young Jr. He is lights out down in that location. And last time up, struck out on a pitch up in the zone. That down and in pitch, forget it. He has hit that pitch hard every time up. And Rosario with decent speed for a catcher, able to get into third base.
And Brewers fans all over say not again. This has been a common sight. Can Henderson dig down and get through this? He is a strikeout pitcher and certainly needs one now.
That ground ball would look pretty good too. 2-hopper to Ricky.
You wonder if Eric Young is going to be on the move here shortly. Very fast base runner at first base. And Henderson wants to make sure. One out, first and third. Back-to-back singles by the Rockies. Rosario and Young. Colvin slaps it foul, out of play.
You might see Young try and steal a base maybe with 2 outs. Or I should say with 2 strikes. Staying away from that double play, but Henderson more of a fly ball pitcher as opposed to a ground ball guy. And we'll see what he does. He's got good speed.
The best arm in the Brewers outfield is in center field in Gomez. Very accurate arm in right field in Aoki.
But they're all very deep except for Nigel Morgan. And that's why on that Young base hit that Rosario was able to get to third, because Gomez was playing deep where you have to play in this ballpark.
Henderson with a save opportunity in jeopardy here in the ninth. First and third, 1 away. Tyler Colvin at the plate. Bouncing ball that is fair down the line. 1 run is in. Young around third. He's going to try to score. Here comes a throw. And that's it. The Rockies win. A 2 RBI double for Tyler Colvin. And the Colorado Rockies have swept the series. And more bullpen trouble for Milwaukee. A walk-off win for the Rockies. Close call over at first base. That was just down the line, called fair. And with the speed of Eric Young at first, he did not stop. Ricky Weeks got this cutoff throw and hesitated for a moment. Would have been tough to throw him out anyway. And how close was it? Wow. That's a tough angle to tell, but that was right over the bag.
Look, it was right over the bag. Corey Hart did his best to try and knock it down, but Tyler Colvin put it in a good spot. And we talked about Eric Young Jr.'s speed, and he's able to score on a ball that didn't even get down in the corner. That's how fast he is. Boy, what a disastrous road trip for the Brewers.
1-5 on the road trip, and the season of blown saves continues. Check in with Craig Kashawn. He's standing by for Brewers Live. Craig?
Well, unfortunately, that face of Jim Henderson tells it all right there. The face of how the Brewers season has gone, especially on the road. We'll come back for Brewers Live. We'll hear from the skipper as well. Brewers Live is next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.